Hi guys, welcome back to INFJ. Today we are going to talk about our INFJs Experts. Before we get started, comment, like, and subscribe, and let's do this. So in short, no, INFJs are like everybody else. We just learn differently, you could say. Some things to consider when you think about if INFJs are experts. You have to acknowledge, and I've heard people say this about INFJs before. It took me a few years of actually thinking about it to kind of notice it, but people take what the INFJ says very seriously, maybe too seriously. I've been in friend groups with INFJs where the INFJ I observed was put on a pedestal behind everybody's back, and it was this interesting dynamic. People also need to not get so hung up on what INFJs our opinions and our thoughts on things. That is something that you see a lot with people. People just should not get so hung up on what INFJs think. You know, if you need strong introverted judging around an INFJ to kind of just, okay, that's what the INFJ thinks, this is what I think, right? This is just from me having INFJ friends. Anyway, so people will take what the INFJ says seriously. Part of this is because INFJs are perceivers. So we have dominant introverted intuition. Introverted intuition sees growth and potential, and we have inferior extroverted sensing. It's important to talk about how inferior our extroverted sensing is, but for this video, we kind of treat extroverted sensing as if it's a part of us. So instead of thinking of one as super strong and the other one as super weak, they're just how we are wired. We are on the NISE axis, which means we do use both. So this combination in INFJs, and I think INFJs probably see this in every NJ and SP, NJ and SP type has introverted intuition and extroverted sensing. We have a sense to call a spade a spade. This is stronger with the INFJ because the INFJ's extroverted sensing takes more time to activate more information, and then we make an observation. So this is why people can be jealous of an INFJ or feel threatened by an INFJ. And I have told my friends of INFJs, I'm you cannot take them so seriously. You cannot take me so seriously, right? You kind of as an INFJ, you have to let people know that just maybe people don't understand INFJs. I know we always talk about being misunderstood, but people are so, I don't know, this bothers people. So you have to let them know, if in the same way that you wouldn't take someone else so seriously if they said it, why would you take the INFJ so seriously? Maybe the INFJ is saying something important, but everybody's just another person. My goodness, this is really the approach you have to take to INFJs. My successful relationships with INFJs have because I treated them like everybody else. There was no pedestaling, there was no, there's none of that. You cannot, you're okay, they're super smart, they're going through life, and this is where they're at right now. The same for me, same for everybody. Yes, so calling a spade though is a very profound, I guess you could say, talent of the INFJ. It's useful for explaining concepts. It's useful for understanding what people are all about in a way. And it depends on the level of knowledge on the subject. So I'm gonna give two examples. So, okay, I grew up raised as a flute player. That was that's my first identity. I talk about the arts in other videos. I did multiple arts, but the one I chose to focus on was flute. And so when I started focusing on flute, I kind of pushed the other arts to the side, right? So the culture of flute playing is to critique. You pay for lessons, you pay for critique. Imagine if in another industry you got critiqued, your brain wouldn't code that as someone just gave me $40, right? In flute, you pay, or in music, every instrument, but flute players are known to be perfectionistic. In band, you pay to get critiqued, you pay for lessons. In other industries, this coding of I'm getting critiqued, that is equal to currency, does not exist in the same way. And even like flute players, like, you know, or any musician, like sometimes you get critiqued and you don't like agree with the critique, or you're like, why are you critiquing this? I don't understand, right? But this is just some general like cultural things about like the flute culture is like perfectionistic in this way. So right, so knowledge. Like I like went to college to critique flute players, to teach flute. And so I like learned those things. So let's say I have like a lot of let's say, you know, I have a lot of, I could critique flute players, right? Or teach flute. So then that's a knowledge level. So I don't need to like take in so much information. I don't need to like sit back and observe, right? When I like, and this is every flute player who has come out of flute school, right? Within like 10 seconds of listening to another flute player play, you know exactly what to say. To teach them or something, you know, and it's going to vary because every player prioritizes different things. Now let's step it down. Band directing. So I never did like band directing or orchestra directing or choir directing. I've taken classes in all of those things. I've never done them outright for prolonged periods of time. So like when someone asks me to judge those things, I sit back and I have to go into that introverted intuition and observe and take it in. And then like within a reasonable amount of time, I can critique it, and I've been told like my critiques are accurate. I'm sure every other flute player would have the same, every other instrumentalist or vocalist who's trained would have like the same experience that I'm having as an INFJ. But okay, so now let's step it down further. Okay, let's go to something like sports, you know, but I played soccer, so I know how to critique. No, I don't really know how to, I played soccer when I was little, right? I sort of know it, but I don't really remember. Volleyball. My friends would play volleyball in college. I would play with them. I think it's fun, but I mean, I don't train at it, obviously. It's something I like enjoy. I don't have any knowledge or coaching on it. So I always used to give this example on my channel, like my old channel, that I was out with like some like my brother's friends, and they're all sporty, right? And so like if you had to say like the unsporty one, it could be me, right? But so we're out playing volleyball, and the person next to me was getting frustrated. And in my head, this is like ignoring extroverted thinking, right? I kept missing hitting the ball. And in my head, I'm like, well, do I hit it? Because I'm trying to remember how I used to play with my friends. And I'm like, okay, do I hit it this way? Do I hit it this way? Do I hit it this way? Well, I'm going through these options in my mind. The person next to me was so mad. And it's kind of funny. And it's so realistic. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, this person like hates me right now. It was pretty funny. And they got like frustrated, like giving me like looks and stuff. And so they got so mad, and they went to the other side of the volleyball net. Well, little did they know, I was like on my fifth evaluation of myself on how do I hit this volleyball. And so they go to the other side of the net, and they throw it to me immediately, and I volleyed it back perfectly, and it made them look bad. And like I guess, I don't know how volleyball points work, but in volleyball, if it hits the ground on the other side of the net and goes out, then that's good for my team. So I don't know, I can't remember if volleyball, like they subtract points or add points, my lord, you know, right? But this is good because I'm showing you an example that I don't know much about this thing, right? And so I hit it correctly. It was good for our team. The other team looked bad, right? And it was right to the person who was mad at me. And so this is like the INFJ expert thing. Like the INFJ takes time, and it takes us time to figure out what we're doing, and then we do it, and that surprises people. It more freaks people out than it is the INFJ being an expert, right? Anybody else hitting the ball and scoring that point, we wouldn't think twice. But because someone learned it the way I learned it, I'm something special. No, not really. But like this occurs to INFJs over and over again, right? And so, right, aren't INFJs experts? No. This is kind of like synonymous with the learning curve of INFJs. People underestimate us because, like, when you look at an INFJ at first glance, you see a blank slate. And then all of a sudden they manifest something, they do something they're actually capable. They're not just zoned out. I guess I don't know what people think anymore. But yeah, so perceiving functions piece together information. This takes time. We can't instantly conjure a critique unless we are like trained. Judging functions maybe assign, this is why I split it up between judging and perceiving. Judging functions assign like, I don't know, labels to things. The INFJ, and you see this with like every perceiving type, like ISTJ, ENFP, ESTP, right? All of these people, judging functions take time to piece together information. We don't always instantly assign, have a critique unless we are trained. Now, like if you think ESTP, they perceive and observe through interaction, right? And so that's kind of like the good thing with the volleyball example was that using my inferior function, I'm learning through interaction. Those interactions look like failure, 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 and then actually demonstrating the skill, right? And that's actually every sport. You just do drills and then it starts clicking for everybody, right? This is like, see, like this whole video is like, it's so dramatized for INFJ, like people, what is it? What is the, underestimating us. And then we actually sort of knew what was going on, kind of, you know? So, yes. So we just take information, we learn through, I guess you could say, like, through experience. And it's important to treat INFJs like they're anybody else because we are anybody else. And that's how the INFJ is going to be most at peace. And that's how you're going to have a successful relationship with an INFJ. If you are going to like exhaust yourself trying to pinpoint the INFJ on either a pedestal or eye level or below you. If you go to an INFJ with that perspective, you will think they're an expert, and then you'll think they're a loser, and then you will not be able to like sustain that relationship with that INFJ if you go in with that mentality. So, you know, just treat INFJ how you would treat anybody else, and that's how INFJs have liked me. That's how INFJs want to be treated. I hope y'all like this video. Thanks.